On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get the win in the Western Conference Finals to go up 3-0 on the Timberwolves. How did they get it done? What's going on with Dereck Lively? And why are Luka and Kyrie them? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
NBA champions. He hits! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager, the Locked On Podcast Network, where we let it ride. Let it ride. We're surrounded on all sides. The Maniacs in front of us.
That's right.
The MFFL's behind us. TNT to our right.
We got a live studio audience, including TNT.
Yeah, basically. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about Game 3 and how quick it's going to end.
Oh.
And joining me, as always, in the postgame, what you got for me, Slightly Biased?
I mean, what an incredible atmosphere in this building, as you can probably hear, and it was incredible the entire night. Fans came out, got loud, got rowdy. That's what it's all about, man. And people were concerned, including myself, about the ticket prices and whether or not who was going to show up, whether or not it was people who were going to Bottle Blonde after. Like, I don't judge your nightlife decisions, but that's what some people were asking. And I'm here to say it was a great atmosphere in here tonight. Amazing. And the Mavericks, wow, another resilient, I wouldn't say miraculous. I said miraculous on Twitter. That might not be fair. But another very resilient win for what has proven to be maybe the most resilient team in the NBA.
Let's go. And flank to my right from 105.3 The Fan. What you got for me, Reggie Adetula?
Hey, man, big shout out to the couple that got engaged tonight right behind the media section in 123.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, that's better than a preseason game.
Definitely better than a preseason game, 100%. And
there was one game I remember the Mavs were down by 30 to the Kings in the regular season, and all of a sudden some guy gets down on one knee, and you're like, no, not here, not now.
80 single guys, that woman is available, guaranteed.
It was several years ago, so
definitely
anything can happen, right?
True.
Oh my God. We're here. The Dallas Mavericks get the win. We'll talk about how the Mavs pulled it out. We'll talk about how Dereck Lively's injury impacted the game, but Daniel Gafford stepped up in a big way. We'll talk about how this Mavericks team is now up 3-0. But we got to start here, gentlemen. We got to start by just letting it ride some more. Oh, man, it's an amazing atmosphere right here. This feels like a real post-game show. Usually we're here by ourselves. There's no one left.
I'm very uncomfortable. I don't know what to do with my hands.
It's warm in here.
I'm feeding off of this. This is like I'm leveling up almost.
An incredible atmosphere. Let's start and talk about that man, Luka Doncic. Absolutely insane. 33 points, 7 boards, 5 assists for him in the game, 10 of 20 from the field, and just some insane shot making from Luka in this game, including some big ones late that absolutely got them. He got the jump ball against Anthony Edwards late in this game. He hit the fadeaway with 2 minutes left against Jaden McDaniels. Absolutely insane, huge. What did you see from Luka, Slightly?
Yeah, I saw Luka, who he's been the last 5 games of the postseason, which has been Luka Doncic. And we've been waiting, and we know that it's been the knees. Daniel Gafford just left the TNT booth, which is literally directly to our right, for those of you wondering what's going on here. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go.
I mean, literally directly to our right.
Is this copyright infringement?
I don't know. Thankfully, this isn't my responsibility. You can handle that.
And I have to be honest, I can barely hear Nick or Reggie. Like, I cannot actually
right. I forget you don't have...
Yeah, I can actually barely hear them. But, yeah, there we go. But, no,
that's adorable.
Luka over the last, basically 5 games, around a 30-point triple-double. Yeah. And this includes the 2 closeout game against the Thunder, a road game 2-2 against the Thunder, a closeout game 6, and 3 games of the Western Conference Finals against the best defense in the league, and by a lot of metrics, one of the best defenses in the history of the sport. Yeah. I mean, that's just what the metrics said. That's not anything other than that. And the way that he controls the game has just been unbelievable, man. And that's just the Luka Doncic that we're accustomed to. And it's not, the 45-point games that you can see from time to time. But it's just when the ball's in his hands, it's like, okay, it's reached a point in the playoffs where it's like, okay, Luka has the ball, something good's going to happen.
Yep.
Something good is going to happen, whether it's a Luka shot or a lob or whatever the case may be. And that's just the point he's reached. And when he's like that, this team can win the NBA Finals 1,000,000%.
Absolutely.
1,000,000%.
I mean, what more is there to be said about Luka Doncic at this point? I mean, we've seen it over the course of his very young career. We've seen him do everything, right? I don't know what else you can see him do besides win a championship, which, hey, wait a couple of weeks, right? Like, that's what it feels like at this point. No, sincerely, I mean, you broke it down very well. Like, it felt like the Timberwolves found some interesting defensive, adjustments, defensive things to throw at Luka Doncic in this game. And it didn't take but 1 or 2 possessions for him to then be bending it and, conducting the offense like a maestro to bend it and use their principles against them, looking guys off and then throwing it into the corner, right? This guy is a phenomenal basketball player. I don't know what more can be said. Any superlative that you want to throw out there, any adjective you want to throw out there, it fits. This dude is the cream of the crop. He's the class of the NBA. This dude is maybe the best player in the league.
How about this, what you can say about Luka? They're winning the series. They're 3-0 because he's the best player in the series.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
by a lot.
Going into this, it was sort of like a conversation for some people if Luka was going to be the best player, considering his knee injury and the things that had held him back before. But the Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, who's the one that's going to step up?
Who's the best player under 25?
Who's the best player under 25? Where's the go grab the Ringers, go grab the Ringers placeholder and throw it.
Do I need to do that, really? I already almost got kicked out of here
Rob Mahoney
once.
was here from the Ringer. He's a great guy.
Oh.
But Luka.
Oh, that's sorry.
Luka has been.
That's who I was asking. I knew he looked familiar. I was like, get Nick from you. He was like, he can't hear me.
Shout out to Rob Mahoney. But Luka has been the best player in the series, and that has put them in this spot where no matter where they were in this game, I kept telling everybody, so many people came up to me before the game, were asking, what do you think? How are you feeling? All that. If they keep it close, you feel confident in the Mavericks. You feel confident in what the Mavericks can do, and you feel confident that they can come away with a win because of that dude.
Yeah.
Luka, absolutely.
You can almost oversimplify this game in a way and say it came down to you have not 1 but 2 all-world closers, and they have one that is maybe developing into that possibly, except
flirts with it.
You can still see the work in progress there. And when it comes down to it, that's what this game was. This game was tight, and when it came down to closing time, the things that have gotten the Mavericks here, their defense and particularly Luka and Kyrie when you need them in big moments.
Yeah, I'm so happy you said that because before the series started, I said that it would come down to the superstars in the series, and that feels so reductive because when we talk about series, everyone wants to make the smart point, and they want to say, this player,
offensive
this 8th man, he's going to be the guy. But in reality, it almost always comes down to who's the best player in the series, and a lot of times, whoever that guy is, he's going to win the series. And Luka's, without a shadow of the doubt, been the best player in the first 3 games. And then you can make a legitimate argument. In fact, I don't even think there's a real argument. Kyrie's been the second best player in the series. And when you boil it down to that, it's almost impossible to beat this Mavericks team regardless of what else you do if those 2 guys are doing those things because like you were saying, down the stretch, you can tell the Mavericks have those guys and they're comfortable. They know exactly what they need to do. They know the shots. They know the shots are going to be difficult. They know there's not going to be any easy shots. Luka says, all right, Jay McDaniels is closing out on me. I'm taking a tough fadeaway 17-footer. That's cool. I love that shot for me at this moment. But you could just tell that the Timberwolves still – there's just something there, and that's what happens with young superstars, for the most part. For the most part, there's some rare,
He had some moments. Ant had some moments in the third quarter. He had 10 points in the third quarter where you thought, oh my gosh, he's starting to go. Even
that dunk was crazy.
The dunk was insane over Daniel Gafford. Like shout out to Daniel Gafford.
A dunk when the home crowd is like, oh, everyone's just looking around like, whoa. Like what was that?
We can't even boo that because it was so awesome looking, basically.
Yes.
But the confidence that those 2 stars give everyone else to continue to push, to continue to take shots. Derrick Jones Jr., 3 of 3 from 3 in this game and in the first half. Like the confidence for them to keep telling him to shoot, for PJ to keep defending, to keep attacking when he needed to Jaden Hardy to give him the confidence.
Buddy.
Like imagine like the confidence. There was a moment in this game, and it talked about Luka's leadership, where Jaden Hardy got a one-on-one against Gobert, and Luka looks over at him and goes, "Go, like go cook." He waved at him like, "No, don't give the ball back to me. Go take that man because he can't guard you either." And he ended up getting a foul on Gobert, and Gobert's foul trouble ended up being a big point in this game and ended up helping the Mavericks for sure. And that's all due to the confidence that those 2 stars, that Luka and Kyrie, give to this team. And I think that to me is the reason why they're up 3-0 is because those 2 stars just give you so much confidence going into any game that they're going to be one or two of the best players, and so far they've been the two best players so far in this series. And coming up, let's talk about Kyrie. What has he brought to this game? Let's talk about Kyrie and how he played so great at certain moments in this game and how the Mavericks were able to overcome some of their other issues. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. I was just left alone. Everybody just left me. eBay Motors, passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning a championship is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance with superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, things like that. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million different parts to choose from for your number one ride or die. Car, truck, suburban, van, whatever you got. Go check it out and find the eBay Guaranteed Fit so you know that your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die live at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
My first play.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. It's the three-man weave here on Locked On Mavs, the post-game. I got Reggie Adetula to my right. I got Slightly Biased to my left. T&T over there, they're funneling out all the Mavs fans. They're taking them out They're taking out the Mavs fans one by one, and it's getting a little quieter in here. But it did not get quiet for Kyrie Irving, who finished this game with, 33 points?
Yes.
In this one, 33 points for Kyrie. He had 4 assists as well. He shot 12 of 20 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, hit 6 of 8 of his free throws. He missed 2, so he sucks. But incredible from Kyrie. Just timely buckets when the Mavs needed it, Reggie.
I mean, the most timely bucket, the dagger in this game was a Kyrie Irving dagger. And I understand the scoring has been phenomenal. He had 33 of them things. I am going to zig where everybody else will zag. I thought the passing and honestly, the super connector position or role that he played in this game was super important. The ways in which the Minnesota Timberwolves have tried to take away the corners in this series have been huge, right?
Yeah.
That has been the way that they've tried to go about this. They tried to, obviously single guard those guys up top and then take away the corners because that's where the Mavs have done a lot of damage. Kyrie Irving did a fantastic job of finding the corners when he got that kick out to him. And then on top of that, obviously, that's the connector portion of this. The basic distributor role that Kyrie Irving plays. I feel like Luka Doncic in the first half maybe alone got 4 spot-up shots from 3.
Which has not happened very much.
That doesn't happen very often. Kyrie Irving did a great job of initiating offense, not just initiating offense, doing it in such a way that draws the attention to him so that Luka Doncic could get going in that way and knock down shots as a spot-up shooter as opposed to as a pull-up shooter, which, that's shows a level of growth for him as well. But Kyrie Irving being able to be that second facilitator, we knew that was going to be super important for this team. We haven't seen it a ton, but this was a great time where you knew that there was a level of focus on him. And you did that in a great way. So, again, salute to Jason Kidd and the coaching staff, but obviously Kyrie Irving the one to make that happen.
Yeah, and that's how Kyrie's been all season, right? He's just been this ultimate teammate. And if you're just tuning into the Mavericks for the first time this postseason, especially during that Thunder series where it's what's Kyrie doing? 9 points, where are all the shots? But then you look at it, 11 assists, 9 assists in games in that series. And that's just who he's been all season long, is the guy who's going to feel out the series, feel out games, and know when it's time to either attack mismatches or go to work. And in a series like this, he knew, and he said it after game 1, he knew he's going to have to score a lot of points. Yeah. And especially when you have the defensive player of the year in Rudy Gobert, an ultimate rim protector, and just a great defense, if I can show my team that I can attack, and we've all played basketball here, we've all played sports here, when you have a guy in your team who shows hey, we can beat this team, I can go at him, I can do this and that, and I can attack Gobert and finish over him, or I can attack this guy and finish over him. That does a lot for the psyche of a basketball team. And we talked about what Luka, how him playing like that helps with the confidence, but Kyrie's the same exact way. And especially when it comes to Hardy, because those two, you can tell those two are two peas in a pod.
Hardy watches Kyrie and with the biggest I don't know how else to say this besides goo-goo eyes.
Yeah, it is. When it's in person, you see it. Kyrie does something, and Hardy's on the bench he stands up like a fan. He's what? He has one of the clappers they have here. He's
he puts on the shirt.
Yeah, he's got the playoff shirts on. One of the very few in the arena.
All right. Okay. We're being positive here.
All right.
No, I don't know. I was so positive.
Oh, okay. Very good.
But Kyrie, you mentioned it. A minute left. He hit the jumper over Cat that put them up 111-105. Basically ended the game at that point. He got a layup with 4:30 left to tie the game again. Minnesota called a timeout after that. He got the steal with 6 minutes, and Luka had the one-on-one against Nas after that, hit the jumper, put the Mavericks up 2 with 6 minutes. There's so many just big Kyrie plays at the end of this game. And it started in the fourth quarter with him hitting a pull-up 3 transition and then another jumper. Whoa. And, like, you just feel him, like, starting to get into the game. And all of a sudden that shifts momentum a little bit where he just hits a shot where nothing else is happening. Right? And for so long, the Mavericks didn't have somebody like that. They were searching for it. Brunson got there at the end of the 2022 run, or at the beginning of the 2022 run, where he just started to, you can make offense out of completely nothing. The Mavericks have not had that. Porzingis was not that, and no one else that Luka has played with is like that. But Kyrie is. You can create offense out of nothing. You can create a run. You can create momentum out of nothing. You pull it out of thin air, and just some great stuff from Kyrie. His handle in this game also, too, like, the way that he
doesn't make sense.
He takes the ball and throws it to a spot and then goes to the ball. Instead of like
that throw ahead dribble.
Instead of like you dribble and you feel where you're gonna go with the ball and like you project where he just throws it and just goes and gets it later because it's on that string that he just knows it's coming right back to his hand.
Can I take a half second to just like stop down on that pull up 3? How many times has this building exploded because Kyrie Irving has mastered that particular shot? Like
in transition.
As much as, Slightly, you talked about it to start this. This was a loud building. There were a few moments where it quieted down.
After the Lively injury, it got quiet.
There was that, and then you mentioned the Anthony Edwards where he goes dunks, defense, shot, defense, shot. Like Kyrie Irving coming down and knowing, 1, this is my shot that I can get to at any point. 2, that's going to, electrify this building again. That's great on a level on the bench, but then a level in the building.
That's such a great point. That goes to him being the vet who's been here a bunch. He knows that, and I don't think that's you might hear that and think that that's like, oh, come on, that doesn't really. No, he definitely feels that. Like I for sure think he feels that. And 2, just with the bench, the stuff that Kyrie does, like. If you play basketball, we've talked about this on the show, like if you play basketball at a high level, which obviously we don't, but I'm saying like them on the bench, like the stuff Kyrie does, you have to like have at least tried to play basketball to understand the degree of difficulty. Just some of the easy looking stuff. Someone's got to tell me this word. Ambidextrous
There you go.
with the left hand is so natural. He had this layup in the last game where he's going full speed and jumps off the same foot, left-handed finish. I mean, that is
tough.
The degree of difficulty in that shot is next to impossible. But you watch it in live time and it just looks like a layup for Kyrie Irving. And the bench, I hate to pull the in-person card because whenever I do it, it's like, in person.
That's the benefit of it.
You got to see it.
Listen, we're literally in person. If you're watching on YouTube, you see us. We're still here.
Yes, in person when Kyrie makes a floater with his left hand, which if you're just watching on TV and didn't know any better, you're like, oh, nice shot. The bench is just like, oh my God, what did I just witness? It just got really quiet over here, and it made me. I wonder if you can hear me on the TNT broadcast.
It looks like the GIF where the guy is like, like the burn GIF.
Yes. That's what it looks like.
The bench does.
Shout out to Super Hot Fire. Continue. Don't worry about that.
Super Hot Fire. That is who that was. Yep. Are you still going?
I think so, oddly enough.
That's like 15 years old. That's not what this is about. This is about Kyrie Irving. But it's just, again, when you're playing a defense this good, you have to have guys who are not scared at all.
Yeah.
And that's Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. And can I go back to Luka Doncic really quickly?
Absolutely.
Okay, because we were talking about all of the different stuff that he sees. And all the narrative surrounding this game, but from the national media stuff, they need a blitz, they need a blitz, they need a blitz. Luka is not going to be phased at all by that. He is the best in the league at passing out of that and could be, quite frankly, I don't know how you could track this, maybe the greatest of all time at passing out of blitzes and traps on double teams.
And can I take that a step further?
Yeah.
Like, the Luka Doncic part of it absolutely deserves credit. The Mavs, as a team, are so great at playing that 4-on-3 that happens on the backside of the blitz.
Yes.
They completely tortured the Timberwolves in the first quarter when they were trying to go throughout the blitz. Like, that was the reason why you got a lead early was because the Timberwolves were on skates playing 4-on-3 defense behind that blitz. And so you immediately force them out of that. And part of that is because Luka's great at passing out of it, but everybody else knows exactly how to defeat that.
Absolutely. Coming up, let's talk about Dereck Lively. Let's talk about that injury, what he meant to this team. Let's talk about if he has to spend some time away, what the Mavs did to overcome his injury. We'll talk about that coming up. All right, Reggie. All right, Slightly.
My bad. I thought we had
I just wanted to leave you again, honestly. That was a conscious decision.
I didn't have an ad on that one. Dereck Lively, he goes down with an injury. It looked like a brutal one. where he gets kneed in the back of the head, and he kind of fell into Kat's knee. I saw a lot of people on Twitter say, "Oh, Kat, up to his old tricks again," and like
that was me. I said it.
Thanks for taking ownership.
He flew into the play. But
no, I know.
I don't think that Kat.
It was not dirty.
It's not like Kat stuck his knee out like he did when he hit Lively in the balls.
I'm shocked they called that. I'm shocked they reversed that
earlier in the game. But he goes down at the second quarter with about 8:30 left, and he's holding his head. He's laying on the ground, and he's just holding there for a while. And then eventually he stands up, but he's wobbly when he stands up. And they're stopped for a long time. The arena's pretty silent. It was silent for so long that everyone in the arena felt awkward and started a "Let's Go Mavs" chant.
Correct.
Because they're like, what else do we do?
Yeah.
We can't just sit here in silence anymore. We're all too amped up right now in this moment.
Can I give you a funny little anecdote? So in the media section in 123, right next to it, there was a single solitary Timberwolves fan who tried to counteract that "Let's go Mavs" chant with a Wolves in 6 chant.
Oh, there were Timberwolves fans in my section. That must have been the rallying cry. They were all chanting Wolves in 6.
Okay, cool. But
they're all wrong so far.
That is correct.
That can literally not happen at this point.
They're all wrong about that. So, but he goes down. Then he kind of limps to the locker room, but he's being helped. Markieff Morris and Mavs trainer were both like right next to him, holding him the whole way.
Yeah.
Lively has been amazing in this series. Was amazing in this game before he went down, and it felt at that point like the game was starting to slip away from the Mavericks because Lively had been so impactful at that point.
I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I thought the Mavs were in serious, deep trouble after that, only because Gafford cannot defend in space like Lively can, and they were getting torched.
Level, yeah.
They were just getting torched on pick and rolls, and then Powell comes in, and God bless him. I mean, we know who Dwight Powell is. Like, we don't need to go over this and rehash this for the millionth time. Okay, but he can't grab rebounds. Wait, well, they were getting killed on the glass. I mean, what was his
I ain't say nothing. I don't know what you're talking about.
What was his plus minus in this game? I need to look. Second half.
He said
Dwight Powell was
took us all out.
Okay, well, Dwight Powell was a 0. Okay, well, never mind, I guess.
He did some good things and some
in your
nonsense.
face.
Yeah, take that.
Okay, all right, well, but it did feel like they really missed Lively's the ability to just defend in space, the ability to switch out on the perimeter and live with it,
yeah,
and the ability to help and then recover to wherever he needs to be, and then rebounding, yeah. And Gafford, I thought, had a rough one in this one until the fourth quarter. Like, I do think that this was a rough Daniel Gafford game for quite a bit, and then the Dwight Powell minutes were just, Dwight Powell minutes, and they tried to go very small with P.J. Washington at the 5 for a little bit, and I thought that didn't necessarily work that well, and people on Twitter were upset about that. I'm like, kid's hand is forced here. Like, they got to pretty much experiment on the fly with Lively out and Maxey out, obviously. So, to win this game is because if they lost this game, I'd be sitting here saying if Lively's out for an extended period of time, the Mavericks are in some trouble.
Yeah.
The Mavericks are in like some actual trouble here.
He might be. I mean, if it's an actual concussion, the Mavs called it a neck sprain afterwards.
Yes.
Mavs PR tweeted out and said that it was a neck sprain. He was questionable to return. And
don't you know pretty much right away if it's a concussion?
I would imagine so, but here's the tough thing about it for me personally, and maybe I'm jumping out the gym and I am in a bad place here, so y'all let me know. Are you not as concerned, if not more concerned, about a neck strain or sprain, or what was that? It was a strain, I believe.
Neck strain.
Like, I mean, obviously spinal cord, all of these things in there. Like, it's a very important part of the body. So like I'm very cautious in that way. But you're right. All the defensive things that you bring up with Dereck Lively. One of the offensive things that I feel like we should bring up on the pick and roll, and particularly the short roll. Yes. He has been so good at making decisions out of that.
It's unbelievable.
The whole season.
Like, it's incredible that your 20-year-old rookie is probably your best big at making decisions in the middle of the floor. And you saw that with Daniel Gafford. I believe he had a turnover in one of those situations where he gets the ball in the middle and he travels, right? And, like, that is the level of discomfort that he has in that moment compared to Dereck Lively. And so, I think you're going to miss that in a good amount, especially because if he misses a game, which I really and truly pray that he does not.
Yeah. There's only one day off in between all these games, so it's a quick turnaround. There's no 2 days off in between any of these.
Well, if he does miss a game, I feel like that's going to be a place where the Timberwolves are going to be able to attack you and know that you're not going to be comfortable in the middle of the floor. The wonderful thing about it is, as you said, 3-0. Now you're the math of this is just so different.
The math is way different, 100%. And that's maybe up 3-0 is like, all right, Lively's not fully ready. Maybe we're more comfortable setting him a game. And then let's not forget the Maxey piece of this, where it's like, this was around the time where they said Maxey will be reevaluated, and we'll see. Like, let's not forget about that piece of the equation. So You made a good point about the neck strain, because I think we're Texans, like, we are just so accustomed to football where it's like, it's not a concussion, thank God.
He'll get out there.
Yeah, get out there, put a neck brace on.
Because of the protocol, especially in the NFL, which we're more likely to hear concussions in. The protocol would keep him out longer than like another normal injury, like you said. It's like, we are conditioned to think that way. To me, the concussion is worse because it affects the brain.
Fine.
You made a good point about the neck, though, where it's like, that is the more scary. It's the brain. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, man.
We need Brian Suter up in here.
Let me just stop talking right now. But like, the neck's more important than the brain.
Yeah, listen. Let's talk about biology right here.
The ankle's actually the most important.
Omax has been kept out because of an ankle forever. Right?
You ever? Speaking of Chuck, he's right here. Chuck once said that a sprained ankle hurts more than giving birth.
I can see Chuck's ankle right now.
True, I can see it right now.
That's such a weird statement to make that is absolutely true in this moment. 100% true.
Can we take 1 second to realize that we are broadcasting in parallel with TNT?
I mean, we're probably 20 feet away.
I haven't stopped thinking about it since it started happening.
We're
probably 10 yards from them. Me and Ernie Johnson both doing the same thing.
I do want Draymond to know, him
Not
playing with the Mavericks
level,
in the short roll, I mean, my God, this team would win probably 4 rings.
They would.
Maybe Bam.
There are so many other players that contributed to this. PJ Washington, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. I just thought that he was great, like finding offensive ways. I keep calling him an opportunist on offense, and he just continues to show more. Played 40 minutes in this one. He's so crucial to this Mavericks team, making the defense work. What'd you see from him?
This guy attempts a corner 3 in the clutch. It's going in.
Oh, in that corner?
Yes, this guy attempts a corner 3. It is going in the basket. Almost guaranteed. This is what it feels like. It feels like each of the last 5 Mavs playoff games.
He had one in game 1, and he had one in game 3 now.
He had one in game 2 too.
I mean, look, he came into this postseason and teams decided that's a 32% three-point shooter.
Yeah,
we can see the stats. We're going to dare him to do that.
Keep looking at that number, guys.
And yes, buddy, has that been a problem for everybody that has walked into this building, right? Like, that has been a supreme credit to PJ Washington. But again, to this team, man, they've imbued so much confidence in him. In the same way that you're talking about Luka Doncic waving Jaden Hardy, you take that. They have said the same thing with PJ Washington. I wouldn't be surprised if they went out there and like, yo, we are going to fight you if you don't take these shots. Like, they believe in these guys. Take the shot when we get it to you, and this is the result. That guy takes it confidently every single time, and more often than not, he's knocking them.
Yeah, no, I agree 1,000%. And it's just, it's funny because I don't remember what game it was, but Stan Van Gundy was on the broadcast and he was talking. He was like, well, PJ Washington, above the break threes, that's the threes that they want him to shoot. He's lethal in the corner. And I'm like, well, in the regular season, that was not the case. It was the literal exact opposite. But it just has turned it around so completely in this postseason where he is now a lethal corner three-point shooter. And that stretches out this Mavericks team to where you had the, can you bring the cleaning the glass back up? But they, against one of the greatest defenses of all time.
Shout out to cleaning the glass.
128 offensive rating in this game.
Amazing.
Is that good?
That's absurd.
Okay. Awesome.
86th percentile, which is insane.
And then
even more insane against
121 in the half court. That's like an insane number. 121 in the half court.
105 in the half court is elite. That's tops in the NBA. 121 is like out of this world.
And that's PJ Washington and guys like that having extreme confidence, but that's also Luka Doncic just. There's not a defense you can throw at him.
No.
There's just not.
No, he's seen all of it.
Really, the one thing that you can throw at him is a guy like Lou Dort, who's, I'm just going to basically play tackle football with you, and I'll absorb whatever you throw at me physically, and I'll just make you work in other ways. And the Timberwolves they just do not have that guy. We've talked about that. They don't.
No, it should be Ant.
It should
be him, but he doesn't play that physical.
You don't. But no team actually does that with their best player. Like, no, there's not a team that does that with their best player. Giannis never really does it, where he's taking the number one guy on the other team all the time. Like, it's just not a thing you ask your best player ever.
It's an unfair ask.
Yeah,
there's too much to be done at this level of basketball, and you saying that really made me think. One, is there a Luka stopper out there? And the idea that we're doing the blank stopper puts him in the realm of like the LeBron stopper, and then also what we feel like of late is there a guy that can guard Nikola Jokic? And those are the caliber of players that we talk about with Luka Doncic at this point.
Yeah, he can solve everything. And we have to talk about Jaden Hardy at the end here, because I thought that he had big moments in this game too. 11 minutes for him, but just he has no fear in him at all. No fear in any way, shape, or form. And I think that seeing Jaden Hardy step up in a couple of big moments here is massive.
Well, we talked earlier about that play where Luka's like, Rudy Gobert, he's like, go for it, Jaden, go for it. Like, the fact that Jaden's like, okay. Like, there's no, like, no, I don't really want it, Luka, please. He's just like, oh, against Gobert? All right, yeah, I'll
that
go.
feels like his natural disposition, though. Like, it feels like he had to maybe try and rein that in, realizing that, okay, now I'm on a team in the NBA where I'm not going to be that guy. I ventured the guess that at every other stop in Jaden Hardy's life, that was his role, that was his lot in life, and I'm going to go get buckets. And it's nice to be able to unleash him knowing that you trust him to make good decisions in those places, and that he can do it at this level in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild. Insane to see Jaden Hardy. Derrick Jones Jr. deserves some credit as well for this game. The third quarter, when Anthony Edwards started to go off, Josh Green was the one guarding him and was the main defender on him at that point. Yeah. If you want to see Derrick Jones Jr.'s impact, you go look at that third quarter and watch what Josh Green, when he was defending him.
Well, can I say this about Anthony Edwards? This was what was asked of him, basically. And he said before the game, I'm going to take way more shots. And he hit some tough middies, and that's what's going to be asked of him. And we saw this in the series against the Thunder. This Mavs defense is going to force your star to make star-level plays, and Shea, to his credit, was absolutely unbelievable. Like, Shea was doing next-level stuff in that series, and they lost the series, so it'll get lost in history. And, of course, we're a Mavericks podcast, so we're not supposed to talk about it. But Shea was unbelievable in that series because he's a mid-range maestro. Those tough shots, those difficult baskets, that's what he does. That's not really Ant's game yet, right? He's 22 years old. I mean, he can develop into that for sure. But those quick millisecond decisions, and as Mavs fans, we've grown so just accustomed to it. Because Luka,
from day one.
Because Luka, not only Luka, because Luka's like one of the best to ever do it at that, but Kyrie's also just a phenomenal playmaker, and he's 32 years old, 31 years old, whatever he is. He's been around so long, like he knows what to do in those moments, and it's
a miracle. 32 years old, a miracle,
an ancient wonder of the world.
I know the tweet there, everything right there. That's a good one right there. But no. It's the Mavericks are forcing him to make tough decisions, and both him and Cat, that's not really their game. It's not.
And one way less than the other, right? Like Anthony Edwards, I will give him some credit. You talked about the middies. He also drove the seams that appeared in the defense in the second half and did a good job at actually getting to the paint in a way that we haven't seen very many teams do against the Mavericks, because this team limits you getting to the paint. I'm not going to slander Karl Anthony Towns at this moment because this is a Mavericks podcast for this moment.
All right, well, I'll slander him. He was awful. He's been god-awful.
So
he's been terrible.
A Mavs fan did tell me that there was cat piss all over the court.
There was. So. I mean, he's been horrendous. Like, I don't know what else is there to say. Like this.
That he's afraid of going to the paint and likes taking threes because he doesn't have to go.
I don't think he's afraid of going into the paint.
This is the third episode in a row I'm going to say this exact same thing, but it's still true. When Karl Anthony Towns tries too hard, he fails. When he lets the game come to him, he does well. When he goes out there and forces stuff.
So pull up 25-footers is trying too hard?
Trying too hard, especially when it's contested in his face.
Finch said before the game, for Anthony Edwards, we need to get him sped up. We need to get Cat slowed down.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's just like, good luck, man. I mean, this is it's difficult to do that on the fly in a playoff series.
Yeah.
Like it just is,
to change
man.
what you are, to try less, because you start to see all the things that your team needs. You're like, I can fill that role, but you got to fill it when the game comes to you.
Can you, Karl?
Well, he's the self-presumed best big man shooter of all time. So,
again, I ask, can he?
You know what's funny about that?
I have one more. I have one more thing.
All right, one more thing.
One more thing. Kyle Anderson attempted a Dirk shot late in this game. How dare you?
Well, he made
attempt that in this game, in this moment. How dare you attempt it on the floor that he built? How dare you try that?
I thought you were talking about that one end of shot clock prayer floater that he had from 1 foot inside the three-point line.
No, it was 4 minutes left. Anthony Edwards got
the whole section around me was like, oh my God, what did I just watch?
He got an offensive rebound and he tried it, and I just wanted to say, how dare you? That's all I wanted to say to Kyle Anderson.
But can I finish off? I don't know if I'm finishing it off, but can I at least put this in here right now? Like, you've gotten a lot of great shots from the Minnesota Timberwolves. When I talk about not necessarily like the shots on the floor, but like efforts. They've given you some great efforts, and 3 times you've managed to, withstand that effort and finish it off and get a win. Like, that's the type of thing that championship teams do. They take 100%. Teams' best shots and they find a way to navigate around those, and they did it excellently in this game to the point where they had daggers, and you have your best guys in the places where they can make big plays in big moments. I mean, this feels championship ready.
Yep.
This team continues to solve problems. This team continues to win clutch games. This team continues to win games that it doesn't look like they can win at certain points, when Lively goes out, when they don't shoot the 3-ball well. It doesn't matter what is in front of this team. They continue to win games, and that's why they're up 3-0 in the Western Conference Finals. We'll be back with more in the next couple of days. We'll continue to cover this team. We'll be back after Game 4 as well, so subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe on podcast or on YouTube, wherever you're watching this. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked on Mavs.
Boom.
Let's go. Up 3-0.
3-0 is crazy.
People loved our post-credit scene last time.
Kenny. I can't do it, Chuck.